Now, the first track on the album and the next single off the album is Dharawal, and you have said that it's the track that means the most to you on the album. So why is that?
Uh, because as mentioned before, it's really nice to step into somebody else's world and to analyze their world and go, tell me what you were like as a child, and breaking it down. But this is the first time I really there are songs that are pretty close to me that are about others, but this was really about me, where as a child, like I had an idyllic life, where I grew up in the Royal National Park. It's my backyard. There was no fences. It was just creeks and rivers and caves and bush. And that's where we spent our days, just exploring and running amok. And a lot of these caves, we find there'd still be Aboriginal artifacts in there, and grinding stones and kind of axes and all kinds of flints, etc. It was quite a magical place, and but there was no teachers, there was no elders. The smallpox had ravaged the Dharawal people right from the start, and that's the region where where I live is known as Dharawal country. It's Cronulla, Kurnell is where Captain Cook first came in and first had any kind of interaction with the Aboriginal people. They're the Gweagal people who spoke the Dharawal language. Like we're Australians, but we speak English. New Zealanders are New Zealanders, but they speak English. So Dharawal is the language, like English, but the Gweagal mob is around this area. Then you got the Targary, which is like around Grace Point, etc., where I grew up, and the Royal National Park, and then the Wadi Wadi further down. And so they're all Dharawal speaking, all the way down to about Wreck Bay, past Nowra, and also out to Camden. That's all the Dharawal language grouped out the way. And if you go north, up the north side of Botany Bay, that's the Eora and Gadigal country, etc. So we didn't know this, but there was areas in the Royal National Park which have significant energy and real beauty about it, and you can see the carvings in the rocks, and you can see that these were areas of ceremony, but you didn't know anything about them, and I really ached to want to learn more. I ached to have some sort of rite of passage that would declare to me and also to the world that I truly belonged, that I was Australian, that I was a Dharawal boy, that I belonged to this region, and that I had a role to play in looking after it. I don't know, just learning about it, seeing what it had to teach me, and it wasn't there. And so I did every other dumb rite of passage you could imagine, and somehow miraculously survived. And then but the hunger for that knowledge, I still wanted to know. And again, there was no real Indigenous teachers around me at the time. So I went exploring. I spent the next 8 years exploring the world and hanging out with Indigenous cultures, the Native American Indians in particular, in the States and Canada for about 2.5 years. And then over in Japan with all that kind of Gnostic kind of teachings over there. And then returning here, and I did teach up in upstate, up in the Cape Country, where I first was introduced to the Torres Strait Islanders and the Aboriginal communities up there, teaching in those schools, and started to get an idea of that there are elders around here that can start showing you what's going on. And then spent many years abroad over in I thought, well, I better go back and explore my own roots. And so I lived in Ireland for a couple of years in Europe and explored it over there. And the Gnostic teachings are quite, which is more about connection to earth and country, and became very important, combined with Christianity and all spiritualities, Buddhism, Taoism. And you find those universal truths and what they're trying to get to. And once returning here, now all of a sudden you see in Australia this incredible awakening almost to the wisdom that the Indigenous people had, and how important that is for our overall well-being, in order to slow ourselves down to an area and to a time and to a frequency, free sugar, free caffeine, free electric blanket, free pillow, free comforts, where you are one with the elements, where you are totally dependent upon the elements, and your energy level is so gentle that it assimilates in with nature, and that you realize you don't own it, you're just part of it. And you do see your ancestors in those trees, you do see your ancestors in that rock, you do see it and you feel it, because you are soft and you assimilate into that area. And so these teachings, all of a sudden, there are these elders now that are feeling confident enough that society is ready for them to start sharing their knowledge. And it's still very hard. It's still very reserved, but it's getting out there slowly. And I wanted to try and do this as respectfully as I could, and try and, understanding that my ancestry and heritage is is Irish, but I'm fifth generation Australian. And I think most Australians are starting to tap into that energy and understanding that there is a pulse in this country, and there's certain regions that pulse is amplified and can really be transforming if you know the right way to go about tapping into it. And I've been finding those teachers of late, and it's been wonderful. And as an educator, a 30-year plus school teacher, I'm finding and getting the green light from these elders to say, you got to share this knowledge, because it's integral to not just our well-being, but the well-being of this country. And so that's becoming the primary focus of what I really want to try and attempt to do in these next couple of decades I've got left, is that try and share this knowledge, trying to learn as much as I can, and try and leave this place in a little bit better place than what we received it. That's the goal.